Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. What do you guys actually think of the intro? Let me know. Let me know in the chat, guys. By the way. Oh dear, that was not a good start. This is Reganelite here. Hello, everyone. How are you guys all doing? Hope you guys are all doing well. I literally come into, excuse me, just literally just gulped a bunch of water, and once again I'm burping and all that kind of malarkey. Oh my god. Oh my days. Stephen Banker, good to see you there. And Joe. David Gerardo, good to see you. I hope you had a lovely birthday as well. Good to see you there. And anybody else who may be lurking in the chat. So this is Reganelite's global news, where we look at news from outside the UK, or as I like to sometimes call it, the quiet stream. And the reason why I call it the quiet stream is because we have very, very few people turn up for this live stream. So a lot of people just don't seem to come, which is why it's the quiet one. And unfortunately, there isn't really a slot I can put this in on a Tuesday, which really does suck. I actually at one time had it at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, which was a very weird time to do it, to be fair. But I could always try midday. I don't know. I can't do it 8 o'clock, guys. It's clashing with Max Rollsby. I can't do it at 7:30 because it clashes with Politics Social. And I know that there's other live streams and podcasts going on at the same time. There's never a time that I can do this live stream here. And I do want to do a live stream on Tuesday afternoon / evening if I can help it. So I don't know, maybe I should just switch to 7:30 and just go head to head with Politics Social. Maybe I should just do that instead. Maybe I should do that instead, guys. What do you guys honestly think? Maybe we should do a poll. Maybe we'll do a poll on that. But while we have a think about that, we've got 6 stories to cover here. We're going to be looking at Gaza. We're going to be looking at what's happening in Madagascar as well, because that's quite a big story as well. We're going to be looking at the national strike by Belgium. That's happening today as well. Very interesting story there. South Korea are building huge nuclear bunkers. Recent story as well. A Russian strikes Kharkiv hospital. We're reading more into that story from Al Jazeera, guys. And we were looking at this interesting story from the New York Times, where Jews and Arab Americans live side by side with renewed hope. So, and of course, we will have a funny memes, because that's the main reason why people come to this live stream. There's no other reason people will come here except for the funny memes. So we will look at that as well. So let's start with the one we talked about this morning here. Oh, Pete's Music as well. Good to see you there. Hope you are doing well. Yes, this is the quiet stream, which is why I've decided to do one super chat goal, guys. One super chat, minimum of £5. If we can, let's see if we can do that at least in this live stream. Just one super chat. One super chat. We'll see. We'll see how it goes, guys. We'll see how it goes. So here is the most. This is obviously the main talking point of the day, guys. So the Gaza ceasefire tested as Israeli forces kill 5 Palestinians. So we're not calling it the ceasefire is broken, but it definitely feels like that, given that this happened this morning. And to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if people feel that same way as well. I said at the start, I don't trust Netanyahu and I don't trust Israel, and already this has already happened. Why this has happened? What's been done to stop this happening? Nothing. And here's the thing: Israeli troops are never going to get compromised. They're never going to face. They're never going to face justice. They're never going to face any kind of accountability for anything that they have done, both before the ceasefire and during the ceasefire, and when the ceasefire breaks. Because I do think it will break. I generally do. And 5 Palestinians have been killed. Now, again, we don't know the full context of the story. We can only be told by what reporters are saying on the ground. The report is that they walked towards Israeli soldiers and Israeli soldiers shooted them. Why? What was the reason? Like, were they a threat? Did they have guns? Were they armed? Did they have bombs or something? Like, what was the reason to shoot them? They just killed them because they could, is my general answer here. So let's read a bit more into this. I just noticed my camera's a bit off there. Hopefully that fixes it for you guys. So at least 5 Palestinians have been killed in an Israeli attack in Gaza City, medical sources have told Al Jazeera, despite ceasefire agreed between Israel and Hamas. So sources from the Al Hadi Arab Hospital told Al Jazeera Arab on Tuesday today that Israeli soldiers killed 5 Palestinians in the Shin Guard, the neighborhood of Gaza City. The Israeli military said it opened fire to remove a threat posed by people who approached its forces in northern Gaza. What threat? This is supposed to be a ceasefire. There's not supposed to be any guns firing. There's no bombs dropping. What threat is there supposed to be? Like, honestly. It says soldiers fired against suspects who were crossing the yellow line, to which Israel's military pulled back under the ceasefire deal took effect on Friday, and were approaching soldiers in breach of the agreement. We're approaching soldiers of breach of the agreement. So what? You just shoot them and what? Shoot and don't ask questions? Yeah, I find that very hard to believe, you know. So Hamas and Israel agreed last week to cease hostilities and return all remaining Israeli captives, dead and alive, in exchange for about 2,000 Palestinians held in Israeli prisons. The first phase of the agreement should also see a phased withdrawal of Israeli troops. The first step is to relocate soldiers away from the front line to the yellow redeployment line. According to the rough map shared by the US President Donald Trump, the yellow line leaves about 58% of Gaza under Israeli control, as verified by Al Jazeera's SAND team. That points to uncertainty contained in the ceasefire plan's initial phase, not to mention a lack of details regarding future phases, which are meant to include the reconstruction of Gaza and eventually a Palestinian state. The Israeli government have made no pledges to pull back its forces from the enclave, and the enclave and the White House document states Israel may maintain a presence in buffer zones until there is no resident terror threat, a loophole that experts says gives Israel's margin to remain indefinitely. And this is the problem here. Yeah, this is a big problem. The Shaloweska district is one of the previous populous areas where Israeli forces will remain. Tuesday's killings underscore the challenges that help to keep the ceasefire on track, as hundreds of thousands of Palestinians have been displaced multiple times throughout the war, tried to return to their homes. An Al Jazeera correspondent on the ground said gunfire could be heard on Tuesday morning as Israeli troops opened fire at people nearing their positions. So that again, like, why are they opening fire on people? Like, you don't shoot first. You tell people to turn around, point guns at them, and then they'll turn around and run away because they don't want to get killed. Other thorny issues that have not yet been addressed and could endanger the ceasefire, including the disarmament of Hamas. Excuse me, I'm apologise. I don't know why I can't help but yawn. It might be because I've just eaten, so I do apologise. Which is a red line for Israel and that the Palestinian group have not fully committed to. This could prove even more challenging as tensions between Hamas and other Palestinian armed groups within Gaza, often claimed to be supported by Israel, are brewing. Doc Davis, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. And on Sunday, the Enclave's military of Interior said at least 27 people, including 8 members of Hamas, have been killed in clashes between the armed clan and Hamas security forces. According to the Palestinian media, further such clashes were also underway on Tuesday. So there seems to be infighting within Hamas over this as well. I personally did not think the agreement was one that they should have done. But it seems like not everyone's on board it from the looks of it here. That's not good when there's clashes between the armed clans and Hamas security forces within Gaza. It's not a good sign at all. Not a good sign at all. Let's just have a look at the front live feed, see what it's saying here. Live updates. ceasefire fire. Israeli kills 9 Palestinians despite Gaza truce. Let's just see what's latest here. Trump says phase 2 as the ceasefire begins right now. Just about a minute ago, US President hails the release of Israeli captives and asserts that the ceasefire deal is moving to the next stage toward a permanent end to the war. All 20 hostages are back and feeling as good as it can be expected. A big burden has been lifted, but the job is not done, Trump wrote on social media post. The dead have not been returned as promised. Phase 2 begins right now. Hamas informs media it will return Israeli bodies tonight, according to reports. News agency report Hamas informs truce mediators will begin transferring the bodies of 4 displaced Israeli captives to Israel tonight. The transfer will happen at 10 p.m. local time. Reuters news agency citing an unnamed official involved in the process is saying Israel has also said that half the agreed number of aid trucks, 300, will also be allowed into the Gaza Strip from Wednesday each day, accusing Hamas of violating the agreement by failing to release the bodies of the deceased Israeli captives. The UN has confirmed Israel allowing only 300 aid trucks daily into Gaza. Israel has told the UN it will only allow 300 aid trucks, half the agreed number, into the Gaza Strip from Wednesday. Mr. Schism, good to see you there. I hope you are doing well. 300. That's not enough. And it's not until Wednesday. Not till tomorrow. No fuel or gas will be allowed into the war-torn enclave except for specific needs related to humanitarian infrastructure, it said. Oh, for God's sake. Ola Chesko, spokesperson for the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs in Gaza, confirmed the UN have received a note from the COTAT, the arm of the Israeli military that oversees aid flow into Gaza. COAC said on Friday it expected about 600 aid trucks to enter Gaza daily during the ceasefire. Kodak note said the restrictions are being taken because Hamas have violated the agreement regarding the release of the hostages. Oh, for fuck's sake. This is an excuse. This is just excuses to starve the Palestinians even more. EU seeks more sway in US-backed broker peace of Gaza recovery. Israel, half of the aid trucks we just looked at. Palestine needs to be run by Palestinians. Elsewhere, UK former Prime Minister. Yvette Cooper, the Foreign Secretary, said Palestinians need to be run by Palestinians and Gaza needs to be run by Palestinians. Cooper said in an interview with ITV. She said the right thing. She said peace overseas for the Gaza Secretary. Cooper was asked whether she meant that Palestine should immediately return to Palestinian control. Those are the details that are going to need to be developed and worked through as part of the second phase of negotiations. Well, it sounds like she said the right thing here. If she this is absolutely the right thing. Palestinians and Palestine need to be run by Palestinians and Gaza needs to be run by Palestinians. That's exactly what it needs to be. She's actually said the right thing there, which is quite shocking. The IMF is prepared to support Gaza's reconstruction after a peace deal. Peace deal between Israel and Hamas ending the fighting in Gaza is an opportunity for a lasting economic recovery in the Strip and the wider region, the International Monetary Fund has said. Deputy Chief Economics Peter Culver-Brooks said the IMF is prepared to support reconstruction efforts and added the peace agreement would also help other countries impacted by the war, such as Egypt and Jordan, recover also. The UN has estimated more than $50 billion will be required to rebuild the war devastating Gaza after it was plummeted by 2 years of Israeli military. That number is low. I expect that number to be far higher. Any other stories that we need to look at here? Israel refused to specify when Rafah conflict reopens by ceasefire. When we know it's Wednesday now because they've said. Or maybe that border specifically. UK pledges there. One killed in a drone strike apparently. We reported earlier that Israel launched a drone strike in Gaza, southern Khan Yunis. Medical sources confirmed the bomb killed at least one Palestinian. It was the latest Israeli attack on Tuesday with at least 9 Palestinians killed. Spoke. Drone attack. What was the point of the drone attack? Again. This is not a ceasefire. What? Why? And again, no accountability. There'll be no accountability, guys. We're not getting any accountability for this whatsoever. As for the story we covered about, 9 Palestinians lost their lives. The truce is, they're claiming the truce is holding. Like, I just think Israel are just looking for holes. They're just looking for holes. Dave McGinn, it's good to see you there. I hope you are doing well. I really don't have much faith. I put out a poll, some of you guys may have seen. I put out literally a poll a couple of hours ago asking, is the ceasefire going to hold? And so, one of the options I put is already broken. So, yeah. I wonder, I've said, will it last a couple of weeks or at the end of this week? Might not even last till then. But let me know what you guys honestly think, yeah? If check out the poll and cast your vote, or leave me a comment down below. How long do you think the ceasefire is going to hold, or has it already broken? Yeah? A day? Week? In the next couple of hours? Because I don't see a reason why Israel just can't go carte blanche here. Because I generally feel like that's where we're going at the moment. Switching gears to Africa, guys. I don't know a lot about Madagascar, but I do feel that it's a story. Obviously, it's quite a big story. We can only take what reporting we can on this. So, I've got a video here from the Associated Press here, which we'll listen to in just a moment. So, the military colonel announces that the armed forces are taking control in Madagascar. So, let's have a listen to Madagascar's president, and he said he's fled the country in fear for his life after the military rebellion. So let's just have a listen together here, guys.
Some presidents on the African continent offered to send troops to bring about peace in Madagascar, My response was that it is not in line with Malagasy values to send troops, which I declined. For that reason, I was forced to find a place, and I went to a safe location to protect my life. Malagasy, my family, there's only one way out of solving this difficult situation we find ourselves in. First is to respect the country's constitution. If we go beyond the limits, believe me, we are going to find ourselves in much deeper poverty. We'll be lost and suffer from impeded growth in this nation.
So that was the president of Madagascar, who's fled out of fear for his life. Before I give my own thoughts, I just want to read a little bit into this just so we can get a better understanding here, guys. So a colonel in the entire military unit in Madagascar said on Tuesday that the armed forces are taking power in the Indian Ocean's nation in what appears to confirm that President Andre Rajoelinaga, if I've mispronounced it, let me know. Apologies if I have, has been removed in a coup. So Colonel Michael Ranadovia, I'm just going to say Michael, guys, announcement in front of a ceremonial presidential palace in the capital came almost immediately after Parliament voted to impeach him, the president, who has fled the country because of the rebellion by soldiers. We are taking power, the colonel said. Michael said in front of reporters that the military would form a council composed of officers from the military and the gerrymandered law enforcement force. The Prime Minister would be appointed to quickly form a civilian government, he said. He also said the Constitution has the powers of the High Constitutional Court have been suspended. He said a referendum would be held in 2 years, although the details were not immediately clear. 2 years. This sounds a lot like a coup. Rodrigo had faced calls to resign through weeks of anti-government demonstrations that rocked the country that were led by young Gen Z protesters. So this has been going on for a couple of weeks, guys. This has not just been something that's just come out of the blue. This has been boiling for a while. The turning point in the protest came on Saturday when Rodrigo and troops from the elite's CAPSAT military unit joined the protest and turned against the president. Excuse me. This prompted Rodrigo to say that there was an attempt to seize power and go into hiding. So the military had enough of defending him from the looks of it here, this military unit, and turned on the president. So earlier today, Rodrigo issued a decree from his secret location that dissolved the lower house of parliament, apparently to avoid being impeached. It was ignored by lawmakers and they voted overwhelmingly to impeach the 51-year-old leader. His whereabouts are unknown. He said in his speech broadcast on social media on Monday night that he left the country for a safe place in fear for his life after rebellion by soldiers over the weekend. Madagascar, as a former French colony, has a history of military-backed coups since the independence in 1960, including in 2009, when Rodrigo himself first came to power as the leader of the transitional government following the military-backed coup. So he's been in power since 2009. That sounds fishy to me, doesn't it? So he's been in power for what? 10. I've done my maths right. So that's 16 years he's been in power. Yeah, that does. It sounds like it. That's a bit too long in power. If you don't mind me asking. The youth-led protests against Rodrigo's government first erupted last month over electricity and water outages, but have snowballed into larger dissatisfaction with the government and the leadership of Rodrigo. Protesters have brought up a range of issues, including poverty and the cost of living, access to tertiary education, and alleged corruption by government officials and their families and associates. What surprise? Corruption, guys. I don't think it's anyone surprised by this. The protesters have said they were inspired by other Gen Z-led movements of frustrated youth that toppled leaders in Nepal and Sri Lanka. Thousands of young protesters continued their anti-government demonstrations in Madagascar earlier today, packed into the main square in the capital, and repeated their calls for Rodrigo to resign. They also cheered the soldiers. Madagascar has deep problems with poverty, which affects around 75% of the population of 31 million people, according to the World Bank. Quote, "We do not get a consistent supply of electricity and water from the government," says one protester. If Madagascan children are studying in darkness, then where will the future of this nation be? Where's the wealthy Madagascar that many countries envisage? CAPS had said the same powerful military unit that turned against the government in 2009 led to Rodrigo first coming to power. The unit has said this weekend it was taking charge of all of Madagascar's armed forces, and new heads of the military and the gerrymandered security forces have been appointed. CAPSAT commanders have previously denied that they have carried out a coup and said Madagascar's people should decide what happens next. That the unit appeared to be in a position of authority in some areas of government decision making since Saturday, and Rodrigo called their rebellion against the government in an attempt to seize power illegally and by force. There is no major violence on the streets, and soldiers riding around on armoured cars have celebrated with ordinary Madagascans in the past few days. Okay, so there hasn't been any violence. So first and foremost, the good news is there hasn't been any violence. Nobody has been harmed. Nobody's been killed, which is a good sign. So that's the first positive thing I would say out of this. Now, I'm gonna have to say I kind of side with the military and the protesters here against the president. And I'm really gonna have to put this out there. You know, you've been in power since 2009. Yeah, you're the same person who's been in power when there was a backed coup in 2009, and you haven't moved position since then. You've been in power for what, 16 years? Like, you're gonna tell me that you're definitely legitimate. You're a legitimate president of Madagascar. And for 16 years, what have you done since then? No. Like, listen, I'm not bloody stupid. I don't trust this guy whatsoever. You know, and here's the thing, right? The next generation of youngsters, they're seeing what's happening. They're seeing their futures, and we know it's not just happening here. It's happening in lots of places across the world where many youngsters feel like they don't have a future. And that's how they feel. And that's how the next generation of Madagascans here feel. They feel that their futures are being taken away from them. There's corruption, and unfortunately that seems to happen in a lot of African countries, which I wish more was done about it. And it's very, very deeply frustrating. Now, the scary thing is, of course, is that the army could end up taking full control of everything and holding on to that power. Now, they say they're going to form a civilian government. Can we trust the military to do so? Well, the answer is we just don't know. And I think the world is I'm not sure what the world. I don't know if the world has kind of condemned this here, but you know, the people are really frustrated, and that's generally what it is. You know, it's been going. These protests have been happening for weeks and weeks and weeks, as it says here in the report. So, yeah, I think he should step down, and they should have an election. He should step down, and there should be an election. I don't like the fact the army are saying we have to wait 2 years. I don't like that idea at all. So what are they going to do? Completely disassemble Parliament and start afresh? Is that what they're doing? I'm assuming that's what they're going to be doing there. Will have to be interesting to see how things go there. It's been in trouble since they had the Mad Queen, says Jal. It's not a country that I'm too familiar with the politics or even the island itself, to be fair. But this is a story that's been banging around for the last few days since I come back from holiday, and I couldn't ignore it. So I wanted to give it some coverage because I do think it's important. You know, we're talking about a country that's had the same president for a long time, and people have felt frustrated, and it's right that we put a spotlight on this country and its nation about what's happening right now. I will try to keep on top of it. No promises, of course, but I generally hope that the military don't hold on to control too much of it. Have you looked at Westminster? Yeah, yes, indeed. Alison Keir, good to see you popping in there. Hope you are doing well. Yeah, I know Westminster. I know you want to remind me, David. I know you do. But we're not talking about the UK today. We're not talking about the UK on this live stream, okay? But in all seriousness, like, I generally hope the people of Madagascar, the Madagascan people, get to choose and decide their own fate, and get to choose their own future. I generally hope that. I think if this president should step down, you know, you've been in power for 16 years. What have you done for the future of their people? You know, we can talk about constitutions and rights and whatnot, but if the people aren't being served, and that's what it looks like in this situation, then I think looks like this might be the best decision. The good news is that, as I said, no one has died. There hasn't been a gunshot been fired. There hasn't been violence, which means this is something that it seems like it's been rather than a coup, more of a transition, but not a legal one in the perspective of the law, shall we say. I think that's a kind of a best way to kind of sum it up. That is for sure. But if you want to have a read of it more, you can have a link. It's in the description as well. I did watch a video from Al Jazeera as well on it, but I didn't want to share it with you guys because it was about 11 minutes long. But I thought that was quite an interesting piece there, explaining Madagascar there as well. So another country, guys, that is going through troubles. Yes, I know the UK. Yeah, well, I know the UK, but Belgium have been going through what appears to be their own austerity. And feel free to chime in, because I chime in more on this, guys. So this is from the BBC. National strike by Belgium's big unions hit public transport, airports and ships. So tens of thousands of people have taken to the streets in Brussels as part of a national strike over government reforms and spending cuts that has brought flights to a halt and severely disrupted public transport. So Belgium's three big unions are protesting over pensions and other mentions by the Prime Minister Bart de Wever's centre-right government aimed at cutting the budget deficit. Is this the crazy? This isn't the crazy guy, is it? I'm sure. Is this the crazy guy? The blonde guy? Oh no, we're talking. Am I thinking of the Dutch politician here, guys? There were no services at Belgium's second biggest airport, and all departures and many of the arrivals were cancelled at Brussels airport. Although trains were running, most buses, trams, and underground trains in the capital ground to a halt. So the unions have literally just said, "No, you're not touching us." Literally is what they've done there. Corruption in government. Bojo, anyone? Yeah. Thank you, David, for the £2 super chat. Yep. There is corruption in the British government. Absolutely. No one is arguing that. Of course, no one is arguing that. Swedes have a massive set of issues, said Mr. Skim as well. Is this a Belgium? Is the Belgian government imposing austerity? Can anyone confirm this? Is that what we're getting here? Is that what the Belgian people are going through here? That's the way it feels like to me. So shipping at Europe's second biggest airport, Antwerp, was suspended until Wednesday because of understaffing, and more than 100 ships waited in the North Sea for permission to dock at 3 ports, according to Belgium's MKD Maritime and Coastal Service. Belgium has been hit by several strikes since Flemish national Bart de Wever came into office last February. By midday, police said 80,000 protesters had joined demonstrations in the Belgian capital. Oh, wow, 80,000. The unions were expecting more than 100,000 Belgians to join the Brussels protest here. VIP lane, anyone? Yep, the COVID contracts. Yeah, that's not going away. Thank you again, David, for the £2 super chat. Appreciate it. Yeah, I know. Boris Johnson, like Tony Blair, should be in prison for what they've done, but unfortunately it's not in our hands. It should be. Public sector workers were protesting against austerity measures. There's the word. And the government increasingly perceived as leaning right. They wound through the streets of central Brussels, many wearing the red and green colours of the main unions. Key issue for the unions is the government's plan to increase the number of days Belgians work per year before they can receive their pension, as well as an end of special schemes for several sectors, including military and railway workers. What's the justification for the government doing this? De Wever's government also announced measures including a maximum 2-year limit on claiming unemployment benefits. Further cuts are planned for next year's budget, and some proposals, such as reducing child benefit and raising VAT, have already been floated. Oh yeah, child benefit! They must have taken that one out of Labour, guys. It's about time we came together, said NS29. It's always the same part of the population that has to tighten their belts. Yeah, it's never the rich, guys. Like, I don't know how much wealth there is in Belgium, but I'm sure there's some wealthy people in Belgium that could pay some more taxes. The nationalist government wants to impose politics that will hit the lower middle class, and people are not going to take it. Yep, always targeting the innocent, targeting the victims here. Yeah, I had a feeling it was austerity, to be fair. Thanks for that, Jow. That's a lot of protesters for Belgium. That is a lot. But again, it'd be nice if England took a page out of that. Just saying. Holding a placard showing the number 67 with a red line for it. She objected to the pension age group going up. 65 is enough. 67 is too late. We are asked to work more, to work longer hours. It's not fair. The rise in pension age was adopted 10 years ago, well before the Weaver's government came in the office, but it remains deeply unpopular, and the government is aiming to ring-fence it and make it more expensive to retire earlier. See, I disagree with the pension age being increased. However, one key argument that governments are making with the increases to pensions, and I'm not saying this is right in any way, shape or form, guys, is that we're living old longer. As time goes on, more medicines, there's more things that allow humans to live longer. And the reality is that humans are living longer, which is their excuse, shall we say, for them to increase the pension age to make people work longer so that they're not being a burden to the state pension. That's kind of their reasoning for this, because people are living longer. But mind you, though, I would rather retire at 55, personally. But that's not going to happen. But, yeah, 67, like, you know, after that, do you really have a lot of time after that? Like, not everybody lives to their 70s, their 80s, their 90s. Not everybody can make it that age. I mean, it obviously varies. But the overall human population is living longer. You know, we've seen that over the last several decades, that the human population has been able to live longer, and that's because of medicine. And so that's created a problem for state pensions, not just in Belgium, but many parts of the world. So that's a problem for them. Always austerity for the poor, tax cuts for the rich, yeah. Belgium has a lot of rich people and companies that can pay more taxes, but the nationalist government wants to increase taxes and diminish rights for the middle and lower class. They want to undermine the unions. Unions is the one thing that keeps... Unions are the one saving grace that are keeping them together. Our unions in England are so bloody weak. They're so spineless. It's because we allowed the governments here to run roughshod over them. Our unions are not as strong as they used to be. Really are not. You know, we really should be taking more of a page out of the way Europe have done things. You know, Margaret Thatcher and the Conservatives, they really done a number on unions here. It's a really real shame. The rise in pension age was adopted. Yeah, I said that already. Terry Bolson of the ABDV union told demonstrators that the fight against the Weaver government is not just a fight of the day or a year, it's for a whole generation, Bella's news agency reported. We need to fight for our rights, said the mother of two, Vanessa, who had travelled from Charlongi. I'm worried about what measures will be taken. What sort of future will my children have, she told the BBC. It's not just the federal government under pressure to cut spending. Belgium's complex multi-level governments means regional authorities are also imposing austerity measures. The ruling coalition in the Belgium's largest French-speaking Walgan region has announced that teachers in the highest tiers of secondary schools will have to work an extra 2 hours per week. Why? Like, you're basically... Work more for less is what they're saying. You're asking teachers to work more for less is what you're essentially saying here. Ironically, the headquarters of the EU, said Mr. Skim. I'm in Glasgow. The retirement age is already higher than my life expectancy, said Reg. Many of them joined the protest today. What surprise? Nothing is clear and it's really worrying. If a higher level teachers have to work more, many jobs will be cut, said Tony 48, who works in education. Although the protests were largely peaceful, there were several incidents of vandalism and arson early in the morning, and some people in masks clashed with police later on. The majority of the protests were peaceful there. But this is... It's not just Belgium, obviously. There is a generation of youngsters across the world who feel that they are being denied And we have a lot, the richest and the wealthiest in society across the board, in different countries and different nations, who are trying to take advantage of the situation. And this is another example of it, I'm afraid. Well, the problem is that I have to say, in all honesty, like, if you vote for a fascist or a right-wing government, and I don't know if they're a fascist government, I'm not saying that, but if you vote for a right-wing government, you're going to get right-wing policies. You know, that's the general rule of thumb there. You are going to get that. Scales never tip in favour of the poorer. What we allow will continue. Yeah. Right, it's a very good saying. So, guys, we about halfway through. We've got a couple more stories to cover here on Global News. Thank you guys all for being here. I really appreciate it. Normally, it's much, much quieter, so it's nice to have a few people talking in the chat. Usually, it's just me and Jao on this live stream. So, appreciate people popping by, joining me for this show, guys. So, I much appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoy this funny video from Garen. I had to go with Garen again. I've got a feeling that the person that you're going to see a man behind Garen, and I generally want you to tell me, is that an AI video? Because he looks like an AI image to me. I'm not saying it is, but I'm not going to show you the image just yet, because I really want you to have a look at the guy and tell me whether you think that is a real video or if it's AI generated, or if the guy's AI generated, because I have sneaky suspicion about it. But anyway, I'll let you decide. So here is Garen here on selling a burnt down house. You know, Ireland's really struggling. So, you know, why not sell burnt houses? You know, houses that are boarded up and everything. You know, because that's where we're coming to at this point, guys.
For fuck's sake, I've seen it all now. This lad is trying to sell a fucking burnt down house. An Irish auctioneer will sell you fucking anything. He really sells it in this video. He calls it a blank slate you can put your own stamp on. It's fucking burnt down, man. This really takes the stress out of redecorating. I do have one question though. Are these windows double glazed? Also, the bins appear to have survived without injury, but who knows what sort of shit they've seen. Also, I commented on this because I really do think it's a fixer-upper with a lot of potential. And they replied and tried to arrange a viewing. Please tell me what exactly I'm supposed to fucking view. It doesn't appear that you can enter. Actually, that window looks like it's open. Maybe that's how you get in? They're probably just letting in a bit of air. Maybe I should arrange the viewing. I don't know. I do like putting my own stamp on things. Watch out for fucking Irish people. They will try and sell you anything. And follow me. I'm delicious.
I love the fact that he commented and that they reached out to him and said, "Would you like a viewing, sir?" I love it that they reached out to him and said, "Would you like to see this video? Would you like to see it? Would you like to see the house for yourself, sir?" But in all seriousness, is it me or does that guy look like an AI image? It does. To me, it does. It feels like an AI image. Like, let me bring it up. Let me bring up a position. Where is it? Where there's a good space of him. Does that not look like an AI image? Does he not look like an AI image behind Garen? Am I the only one that's thinking that? Like, please tell me you have that suspicion, chat. Please tell me. I'm generally curious. Like, I think there's a suspicion of AI imagery there. It really does look like that to me. Like, I feel like there's been a real screen there, and they've plumped an AI image of somebody in front of the video. Like, that's how it looks to me, but I don't know. You guys let me know down in the comments what you honestly think. And just a reminder, so thank you, Dave McGinnis, for the 2 super chats so far. But I did put a super chat goal, just one super chat goal, and we've already hit £4, which is incredible. So thank you for that. But it was a £5 minimum one, which I wasn't expecting to hit anyway. But it doesn't matter, guys, because David has already been incredibly generous already. So thank you for that. But if you guys want to support me in the work that I do here, hitting the like button, sharing across social media, subscribing if you haven't already, and do check out Rumble and Patreon content as well while you are here. Greatly appreciate it. Right, stop with the rambling. Let's keep going, guys. So South Korea is to build huge nuclear bunker as the threat from North heightens. Can you close that? Yeah. Can we? What is this video? Can we have the, is there a video of it? Is this the video? Is this the actual video of the, No, tour of a mega factory in bunker factory in Texas. Why are we doing a tour of a bunker factory in Texas? Is it being sent to Korea? The civilian bunker will hold 1,000 families and is equipped with for 14 days of survival. Okay. So a civilian bunker capable of withstanding a nuclear attack is set to be built underneath a public housing complex in South Korea's capital by 2028. So the Metropolitan Government and Seoul Housing and Communities Corp plan to shelter for 999 households designed to withstand nuclear, biological or chemical attacks, the officials said on Monday, to guard against threats from the north. The bunker in the basement of the housing complex in Seoul will span 2,144 square meters, or 2,568 square yards, to accommodate up to 1,020 people at a time, and can be equipped for 14 days of survival. You know what they could do instead of a nuclear bunker, guys? Have you ever heard of a game called Fallout? In the video game, do you know what they did? They built deep underground vaults. Why don't we do that instead? Just a suggestion when there's a nuclear apocalypse. Or maybe they have and they just haven't told us, the public, about it. Just a suggestion. And I think that was 4 today. That was 4 there, guys. Didn't beat my sneeze count this morning. Birdcage, says Joe. Yeah, that was that. AI bird brain. Yeah, maybe AI bird brain. I still think I still think it was an AI image anyway. To be fair, the Seoul Shimin newspaper, which first reported the plan, said it was the first of such move by a local government in the face of heightened nuclear threats from neighbouring North Korea. At a massive military parade on Friday, North Korea displayed its latest ballistic missiles capable of carrying nuclear warheads to the target in South Korea or as far as the United States. South Korean President Lee Jae-myung has said the most realistic path to lowering the risk from the north is to secure a freeze on its manufacturing of nuclear bombs and missiles. Pyongyang has rejected diplomatic overturns for now. Yeah, this this president, unlike previous presidents, is he's trying to be more negotiable. He's trying to open up and wants to talk with the North, and the North just doesn't want to talk. He's trying to say, can we talk about this? And the North are just like, no, piss off. Which, you know, I just don't like. I don't ever see reunification of Korea in my lifetime. I just don't see it. So South Korea has nearly 19,000 bomb shells nationwide, more than 3,200 of them in Seoul, but the vast majority are not built to protect against nuclear, chemical, or biological attacks. They're mostly situated in subway stations or basements and parking garages in private apartments and commercial buildings, designed as shelters with the consent of owners. Unfortunately, like, I just don't see. Let me just play this anyway. Is this actually bunkers? I mean, mega bunker factory. This is Texas, obviously. But I'm assuming this just gives us a bit of an idea of what they could potentially be looking like. Yeah, interesting design, shall we say. Why the circle hole? Why the circle hole? Oh, I guess it's like a safe, isn't it? Yeah, safe. Would it be? I'm assuming that there would be oxygen inside these designs as well. There would be oxygen in them of some sorts, I would assume. It's got different designs outside. Okay. You're going to take us inside one? Can you take us inside one? You're not going to go inside one. Oh, you're not going inside any of them. Just showing us different different designs. Yeah, all full of metal. You can see just one there, just on the inside there. Interesting. Anyways, just thought a bit of it. An interesting one, shall we say, there. If you can find clean food and water. Yep. You know, rations. What do I honestly think about this? Like, I think South Korea needs to take all precautions. It's my honest opinion, because North Korea are not planning to get around the table with them. I don't think they ever will. I don't think they're going to in my lifetime, and I don't even think they're going to in the next generation's lifetime. Unless something massively, dramatically changes, I can't see that happening. Unless there's an invasion, or I don't know if North Korea actually invades the South and succeeds, something like that. I do not see a scenario where South Korea can topple North Korea or anything like that. Not with the aging population, and especially the firepower that North Korea has at the moment. So, yeah, right now, nothing's going to change. And its leader is going to be has no intentions of budging. No intention of budging right now. But it could change. It could change indeed. So let's have a look at this story here from Al Jazeera here on Ukraine here, guys. This is on some of the latest news on Russia-Ukraine war. So the Russian strikes Kharkiv hospital. UN convoy as Ukraine seeks US Tomahawks. The latest attack on civilians comes days before talks in which Zelensky hopes to secure long-range missiles from Trump. So continuously, like we talk about a lot of what's been happening in the Middle East every single day, people, and it's really, really important to stress this. Civilians, not soldiers, civilians are being targeted by Russia. By Russian drones, by Russian missiles that are being sent into Ukrainian territory. They target hospitals, they're targeting energy infrastructure because obviously they want to freeze them to death because it's very, very cold right now. Is what they've been targeting a lot of energy infrastructures. But they also have been they've hit school buildings as well. They have hit some hospitals as well. And they have hit apartment blocks where, unfortunately, innocent people have died. Many innocent people have died here. I don't hear too much about it from Ukraine into Russia-occupied territory. I will accept that argument. But it is devastating every time we keep hearing innocent people, not even soldiers, but innocent people, civilians, are dying as a result of this continued war, this needless, pointless war that Putin started, because that's what it is, guys. It is a pointless war, and it should. And the only thing and I've said this on Patreon, but I'll say it to you guys here anyway. In my Patreon video about this, I don't know whether or not giving the Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine to target infrastructure in Russia is going to change Putin's force a needle in any way, shape, or form. I don't know if it will. Like as of right now, there's only two ways I can see this war coming to an end. Something happens to Putin, which we can guess what something could happen to him, or somehow, some way, there is a major coup, and they overthrow the government or something. There's a major coup of some sort. The army turns on him, or the people rise up, which I don't see any of that happening. I really don't. You know, it's like one of those. It seems like the only options that this war will end is one of those two options. But so many Russian soldiers, so many Ukrainian soldiers are dying every day of this pointless, needless conflict. So Russian forces have struck a hospital and a United Nations convoy in Ukraine, officials said, in attacks likely to bolster Zelensky's pitch for a long-range Tomahawk missile when he meets US President counterpart later this week on Friday. Officials said today that overnight attacks involving drones and guide bombs struck a hospital in Kharkiv, injuring 57 people and forcing the evacuation of 50 patients. Why a hospital? Doesn't want Ukrainian soldiers surviving, obviously. Meanwhile, Russian forces attacked a UN convoy that was delivering aid to the front town of Madagascar in the partially occupied southern region of Kharkiv. UN and Ukrainian officials had said, and no casualties were reported. That's good. The attacks in Kharkiv and Kharkiv condemned respectfully by Zelensky as a terrorist attack, as by the UN as a violation of international law. Comes just days before a scheduled meeting between Zelensky and US President Donald Trump in Washington, D.C., and on Friday, where the pair is expected to discuss the potential supply of long-range precision strike Tomahawk missiles to Kiev to allow it to hit back at Moscow. Trump has suggested in recent days that he was considering providing Kiev with Tomahawks, which would be the longest range missiles in Ukraine's arsenal and could allow it to accurately strike targets deep inside Russia, including Moscow. Washington has previously ruled out supplying Ukraine with cruise missiles, which the Kremlin has warned could have serious consequences and would entail direct US involvement with the conflict. I've heard this so many times from the Kremlin. We've heard this so many times, I'm just not buying that. The overnight attacks on Kharkiv, Ukraine's second largest city, hit the city's main hospital, Zelensky said in a post on X. He described the strikes as utterly a terrorist, a senile plan on a place where lives are saved. He said the main targets of the overnight raids across the country were once again being energy facilities and power facilities in Kherson and Sumy regions were hit. Every day, every night, Russian strikes power plants, power lines, and our natural gas facilities, Zelensky said on Telegram. For the past 3 years, Russia has started to target Ukraine's power grid before each winter in a campaign to demoralize the population by leaving millions without power in freezing conditions. In response to the escalating attack on Ukraine's energy facilities, which forced outages across the country on Monday in a bid to reduce presence on the grid, Zelensky has called on Ukraine's allies to help blunt Russia's long-range attacks by providing more air defense systems. Ukraine has dispatched senior delegations to Washington to discuss bolstering its defense and energy resilience, officials said on Monday. So meanwhile, in Kherson, the UN said its convoy of 4 vehicles, clearly marked with well-through programming branding, came under attack from Russian drones and artillery while delivering aid. You know, obviously the world is going to condemn Russia and Putin for doing that, but they won't do it for Israel when they targeted the UNRWA inside Gaza, did they? 2 trucks were damaged in the strike, although no one was injured, said the UN's humanitarian coordinator for Ukraine. Such attacks are unacceptable. Aid workers are protected by international humanitarian law, should never be attacked. Ukraine's foreign minister called the strike another brutal violation of international law, providing Russia with utter disregard for civilian life and international obligations. The UN's Sexual and Reproductive Health Agency told the AFP News Agency that the convoy was carrying 800 individual packages containing essential items for older persons, women and girls. Aid groups have reportedly throughout the nearly 4-year invasion that their staff and facilities had come under attack from Russian forces. Because they want them to stop getting recovered. That's the reality, is it? I like to listen to other people and their shared experiences, but also understand other people's in my opinion. Winter will be harsh. Yeah, winter is going to be harsh for them. But yeah, why attacking the UN? I mean, they shouldn't be attacking hospitals, but we know that they're doing that anyway. It's really, really a brutal thing, that is for sure, guys. It's actually something I don't know if I can find. Yes, can I? Do you have a video here? Please tell me you've got a video. I just want to show you guys something. Would you like to see Vladimir Putin being fucking humiliated, guys? I think we should show that. I don't know if we can. I don't know. I'm going to just give me 1 second. I just want to see if I can find the video. This looks way too old. That's way too old. That's 9 months old. Where is the latest video? Now, I was listening last night to Inside Russia, and Konstantin, who hosts the channel, he shared a video. Let me try Twitter. Twitter will be much better. I can't seem to find it on Google, which sucks. He shared a video on Twitter of Putin literally groveling to the Azerbaijani president for forgiveness. Although he wasn't actually groveling, he was just basically trying to word salad his way. Oh, yes, you got a picture. Do you have a video? Do you have a video? Hold on, I just want to see. No, I don't want to hear you talking. I don't want to hear people talking. I just want to see. Oh, I think we've got it. Here we go. So, let me just provide some context here before I share this video, guys. So, you guys remember a plane was shot down by Russia. A plane, a AZOSO plane was shot down by Russian air defenses. Putin never publicly admitted to it. They never admitted and took responsibility to it. And it devastated and harmed Azerbaijani and Russia's relationship quite severely. And the relationship between two countries has deteriorated quite a lot. So here, and this was a couple of days ago here, Putin admitted to Azov plane that was shot down by Russian air defenses, apologized to the family of victims and promised compensation. He added that Russia-Azerbaijan relations needed to grow. Previously, Russia refused to take responsibility for the catastrophe. So for those who didn't watch Inside Russia, why is Putin doing this? The reason Putin is doing this is because he needs Azerbaijan. Yeah, he needs Azerbaijan. He needs them back on his good side. He needs access to their territory to be able to traverse, and for their economy. Because, you know, Russia's not doing very well right now. So let's have a listen and see how this goes. Hopefully, it will be all right. Oh, Kirsty, thank you so much for the £5, $4.99 super chat. Oh, thank you so much. Good evening to you. Been lurking. Oh, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much for that. That's very generous. Thank you for hitting the super chat goal there. Really appreciate that. Hope you are doing well. Thank you for your support. Appreciate it. I don't know how this video is going to go, but let's have a listen anyway. I just realized I muted the desktop audio, so I do apologize. Let me start again.
авиационной трагедии, которая произошла в нашем мире. И уже тогда в нашем первом телефонном разговоре не только принес извинения за то, что...
Notice the posture of the Azerbaijani president and his facial expressions while we watch this, guys. I'm going to speed it up a little bit as well because it is 4 minutes, and I do have one more topic to discuss as well. Express my sincere condolences. I would like to repeat once again, I reaffirm it, and would like to say we accord as agreed. Providing every possible assistance to the investigation. The investigation is nearly completion. Now we can speak about the cause of the tragedy, this catastrophe. It is connected with several circumstances. The first is that there was a Ukrainian drone in the sky. We were tracking 3 such drones that crossed the Russian border at night on the day of the tragedy. He did not say this at the time of this. Okay, just remember that. The second reason lies with technical malfunctions within Russia's own air defense systems. Do I detect bullshit, guys? I think there's a bullshit detector. It's just been triggered. The 2 missiles that were launched did not directly hit the aircraft. If they had, it would have crashed immediately, but instead exploded. Perhaps it was a self-destruction. Several meters away, roughly about 10 meters there, and so the damage was caused. Mainly not by the warheads, but most likely from fragments of the missiles themselves. This is precisely why the pilots perceived it as a collision with a flock of birds. When he reported to Russian air traffic controllers, and this was all recorded in the so-called black boxes. It was also advised, and this too was clearly audible on the black boxes to land. Are you buying any of this? Are you guys actually buying any of this? Does it sound to me like, please make up with me? Can we please be friends again? It definitely sounds like that, doesn't it? Because remember, Azerbaijan have oh, there's also another thing that Constantine mentioned on his live stream as well about this as well. It's not just about rebuilding the relationship between Russia and Azerbaijan, but also Turkey. So Turkey and Azerbaijan have a very strong connection, a very strong relationship, and their people intertwine with each other as well. So Turkey seems to have not established much relations with Russia since this crash as well. So this is also about re-establishing relationships with Turkey as well. And the only way he's going to re-establish that is by buttering up to Azerbaijani's president. But he decided to return his base airport and later to Kazakhstan. Nevertheless, the fact remains. I have now explained the reasons for this tragedy to you. All of this is contained. I'm going way too. All of this is contained in the documents. After a thorough analysis of the technical characteristics of what was happening, and a second-by-second thorough check of the results of the so-called black box. We also discussed the topic in later conversations, of course, everything that is required in such tragic cases. Will be done by the Russian side in terms of compensation and legal assessment of damage of all officials will be provided. Is that coming out of Russian? Is that coming from the rich Russians, or is that coming from the Russian people who have absolutely nothing and just a couple of pennies to get by? Of course, these words associated with this tragedy and intended to provide more support to the families. Do not solve the main problem in such cases. They can't bring back to life those who have died as a result of the tragedy. But our duty, and I repeat one again, and we agreed on this with you from the very beginning, is to give an objective assessment of everything that happened and to identify the true causes. But this takes time. It will probably take more time to finally put an end to this matter. Ah! What happened? We were near the end as well. How far were we? Hold on, let me find it. There we go. I think I found it. There we go. Don't know what happened there. Right, let's carry on. A bit more time to finally put an end to this matter. But overall, I basically told you everything that I was informed about just before our meeting. Yesterday, and even the day before yesterday, to be honest, even last night, I called Moscow and I asked whether there were any additional details. I have told you practically everything that I know, which is lying, despite all nuisances associated with this tragedy, which I have mentioned, and certain issues that have arisen in connection with it, trade and economic ties, have developed and continue to develop successfully. You see there Putin really reaching over with his hands, with his gestures, the way he was talking there. And you've seen the Azerbaijani president, obviously, not just gentle nods, but you can see from his posture there, he's not happy with Putin. He's not happy with Russia. He's not happy in any way, shape or form. I'm glad that I got to share this with you guys. I'm going to send this to a couple of people as well, other YouTubers to have a look at as well. But I thought it was worth sharing with you guys in one way or another, because I think this is quite... It's nice to see a slimy, terrible, disgusting individual like Vladimir Putin, who considers himself an almighty powerful man, appealing and groveling here to the Azerbaijani president after he realized he fucked up. When he realized, I've got to make amends with this country, because if I don't, we are going to be in deep doo-doo. He's literally, that's why he's doing it. He's doing it because he needs Azerbaijan. He needs Turkey. This, and he is prepared to grovel to do that. Desperate men do desperate things, guys. And he is getting desperate, but he's not very good at showing it. But that's a sign there. You can see the weakness in Vladimir Putin there. That is a sign of weakness from him. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below about that. Very interesting indeed. So I wanted to end with this story here. I'm in a renewed hope here. And while, of course, obviously the ceasefire is fragile and we don't have much hope for it at the moment, there is some hope in America for Jews and Arabs here. In this piece here from the New York Times. So where Jews and Arab Americans live side by side, renewed hope. Detroit has one of the largest Arab American populations and a vibrant Jewish community. Both groups feel some relief and lingering doubt. So the question Rabbi Michael Mosky expected didn't come right away. At Temple Shir Shalom in suburban Detroit on Friday night, roughly 60 congregants had gathered in the sanctuary for Skillet, a festival of Thanksgiving where commemorates for the Israeli elites of desert wandering. A vaulted ceiling and blonde would frame the space in which held the cantor's voice in an aching reverberation. A ceasefire between Israel and Hamas had been announced just days earlier, setting the stage for the first wave of hostages to return and offering a tentative pause after 24 months of brutal conflict. We know about this. The metropolitan Detroit, home to one of the largest Arab American populations in the United States and a vibrant, deeply rooted Jewish community. The ceasefire landed less as a celebration than as a shared, complacent, quiet relief and joy, mixed with distrust. Hope was tempered by fatigue and worry. Our tradition is one based on gratitude, Rabbi told his congregation. A year ago in Israel, Sukkot didn't really take place. People were in such pain, so exhausted. Now he said they could, for a moment, simply breathe. At the end of his service, the rabbi opened the floors to questions. No one asked about the peace deal, the return hostages, or the future. The congregants filed without aggravating what everyone was surely thinking. I was waiting for it to come, the rabbi said later in a temple hallway. I thought someone would ask, but no one did. It was as if they did not want to jinx the precarious moment, he said. Tessa Whitson, 21, standing with her mother in the temple's lobby, understood. This is also not committing something that hasn't happened yet, she said. In Jewish tradition, she explained, families do not celebrate a pregnancy too early. You hold back until the good news is fully real. We're holding our breath, she said. Not waiting, holding our breath. The distinction mattered, she said. Waiting is passive. Holding your breath is active. A choice to suspend yourself between one moment and the next. Excuse me. That was Friday, and by Monday morning, the brief began to release. 20 living hostages crossed back into Israel. Video showed them stepping off buses, embracing family members. Tears streamed from down faces. Obviously, the Israeli people joined. The chairs that had stood on the temple's lawn since October 2021, 231 at first, each representative of hostages became a consistent witness. They have stood as physical manifestations in our faith that have resolved, the rabbi wrote in an email. And that evening, the congregation would gather to remove 20 of them. He announced for each one living hostage except for them to return home. Tears filled our eyes, we wrote, and air filled our lungs that children come back home. Like, I want to make this very clear. I know this is more Israeli-based, this piece here. But we do have to point out here is that, you know, what Hamas did was absolutely disgusting. What they did on October 7th and holding these people. But we also must never forget, while I am talking about this, it's important to remember that we are not, the Western media in particular, do not give the same morals and same valuation to Palestinians as they do to Israelis. And that point really, really does matter. And it's a fucking disgrace that the mainstream media do not give this same emphasis here about Palestinians. About 18 miles south, skepticism runs deep in Dearborn Heights, where the Arab American community has strong roots. Imran Hassan Qati stood before his construction site that will soon be the new mosque for his long-time congregation, the Islamic Institution of America. 5 golden domes symbolizing the Prophet Muhammad and his family, which had been lifted into place last week. So inside, thousands were eventually prayed together. On Saturday, though, with the ceasefire announcement fresh, Imran measured his words. I'm glad to have an end to this devastating war, he said. The numbers haunt them, the tens of thousands dead in Gaza and about 2 million displaced. The orphans, the injured, the devastation of an entire territory. And now this deal, brokered by President Trump, a man viewed with deep distrust in the Imran community and by Arab Americans nationally. I have my doubts about whether Israel will follow through, he said. He pointed to Lebanon, where past ceasefires had been declared but missile strikes had continued. He mentioned a local heartbreak, a family with Michigan ties, all except one child killed in an Israeli attack. Quote, "There is a common belief in our community that the president is doing this not because he's interested in peace in the Middle East," the Iran said about Trump's peace efforts. Rather, he's interested in the Nobel Peace Prize, which he did not get. Even if the ceasefire holds, he said, it's a difficult thing to feel. Genuine happiness about Mr. Trump's role when the broader outcome may be a superficial peace agreement. Above him, the Golden Domes gleamed. The mosque is scheduled to open in a few months, God willing, the Ibrahim said. For years, Rabbi and Ibrahim had been building a friendship. They shared meals and talked about bridging divides between their communities. When a white supremacist murdered 11 people at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh in 2018, Imran Quadri came to Temple Shir Shalom to stand with the grieving community. Then came October the 7th. The trauma was instant and absolute. The connection went silent. Both men professed over the weekend that their belief that their friendship could eventually return. The rabbi spoke of a necessary healing that needed to happen before they could engage again. Iran agreed, noting that the cleavage in their connection was a microcosm of a larger geopolitical stalemate. In the Detroit area, Jews and Arab Americans lived side by side, worked together, and sent their children to the same school. There has always been a tension alongside remarkable coexistence. And now the same closure creates a different kind of tension. The strain of neighbours who carry opposing griefs, who read the same headlines and draw opposite, often painful conclusions. So on Saturday morning, the rabbi sat in a conference room at the Temple Shah Shalom with his regular Torah studies session with about a dozen congregants. Questions came quickly, a flood release after the stillness on Friday night. What about Palestinian protesters on college campus? Will there ever be a two-state solution? Aspirationally, I believe in that, the rabbi said about the two-state solution. I think what Israel needs ultimately is to make it more secure. He noted roadblocks and Israeli government that does not want a setup, and questions about whether such a state could be a trusted neighbor. How we get there, he said, I'm not sure. The rabbi rejected a one-state solution or the annexation of the West Bank as bad for Israel's long-term security. Conversation inevitably turned to Donald Trump, the unlikely figure involved in securing the deal. Acknowledging of the president's role seemed to come grudgingly from some in the room. A political cohesion extracted by reality. The rabbi relayed a conversation with a progressive religious teacher in Jerusalem who said, "How can we not thank Trump right now?" he said. The rabbi said the teacher's feelings were shared by many. We have to give thanks to President Trump for moving us in this direction. Israelis feel this way too. The rabbi continued conveying his understanding of a report back and forth between Mr. Trump and the Israeli Prime Minister. Netanyahu said people are going to like me again, and Trump said people are going to like Israel again. It's not just about you. The rabbi is no fan of either leader. Laughing wildly, I mean, the narcissist is calling out the narcissist. The most difficult query came from a congregant who asked directly about the innocent lives lost in Gaza. The rabbi confirmed what he had stated during prayers the night before. They mourned all innocent lives, Israeli and Palestinian both, because this is what the Jewish values require. He cited the ancient concept of Tzedek Tedof. I hope I said that right, guys. A Hebrew phrase meaning justice shall you pursue. Asserting that pursuing justice demands acknowledging the humanity of those on the other side. The Jewish and Arab American communities continue to exist in parallel, actively suspending themselves between trauma and solace, happiness and whatever comes next. People are all holding their breath, waiting to see what is going to happen in the future, said Dave Abarra, a regular at the mosque. True coexistence is worth the work, Miss Heightens said. It's going to be tough, but everybody is ready, she paused. We're committed to hope. It's the only choice we have. So Monday evening, as the sun set, more than 100 congregants gathered on the lawn of Temple Shah Shalom for a ceremony. The chairs had stood throughout the ordeal, through rain and snow, through negotiations that failed and negotiations that succeeded. The rabbi called forward 24 children. The assistant helped direct them. The children each took one chair, 20 for the living hostages who had returned to home that day, 4 for the bodies that had been recovered. 24 chairs came down, 24 remained on the lawn, representing hostages whose bodies were still in Gaza. Their families were still waiting for closure. Prayers for peace continue at the synagogue and the mosque. Separated by miles of months of silence, two men who were once friends wait for the day when their connection becomes possible again. For now, the ceasefire holds. Now, this piece, obviously, I know was more on the side of Israel, but I do find it quite fascinating that, and I do generally mean this, I do hope they come together. I do hope the two find themselves coming together and perhaps bringing their communities at some point together on this. I know it's too right now, the tension is way too high to do so. But I do hope that does come to pass. It's a long, long, long way off. And obviously emotions, rightfully so, are running high in this. But I thought that perhaps this piece, given what both sides have gone through, let's hope that it does bring about that. I welcome the fact the position of the rabbi making it clear about how he feels about Netanyahu and how he feels about Trump. I do welcome that. But it's hard for when you hear so much destruction, so much devastation to Palestinians. It's hard for me to be as sympathetic to Israelis than it does for me, because I feel more grief for Palestinians because they've lost so much more. They've lost so much more. It's hard for me to do that, but it's important to never forget our humanity and remember that regardless of people's skin color, people's religion, people's nationality, whether you're man or woman, whatever your sexual orientation is, we're all human beings. We all have emotions. We all have feelings. We're not all the same, but we're all the same species. It's, I think, a good way to put it. So I hope you found that piece interesting in some way, shape, or form. You can have a check it out, read it again yourselves down in the comments, down in the description as well, guys. So before we go, we have the most important part of the show. Yes, guys, the most important part of the show. Unfortunately, I've screwed up one of my funny memes here, but you still should be able to read it. The others, I might have to flick over, but this is the best part of the show here, which is what everyone comes for here. It is the funny memes. So I hope you guys are ready for them. Well, I've got 5 for you, so let's go. Hold on, let me just see. Can I scroll along? Can I scroll along? Looks like I can scroll along. Okay, that sounds like I can scroll along. I don't know if I've shown all these ones before, but yeah. Give me 1 second. Okay, here we go. You wouldn't stop me if I was a polar bear. If you're a bit bigger, I don't think the police would stop you, mate. I'm just saying. Yeah, I think he was a polar bear. I don't think they would. I think they would pull him over. When you ask God for a sign, and she brings you to this restaurant, the Just Friends restaurant. No, mate. It's a blank. It's a big fat no today for you. The Just Friends restaurant. What I dear, oh dear. So you've been grinding in your sleep, I see. I appreciate it, big dog. You can't tell me you don't like that haircut. My face when someone tells me that stress balls are for squeezing, not for throwing at people who stress me out. What? So you mean all this time when I've been throwing stress balls at people to express my frustration, I'm not supposed to do that? Oh. Oh, okay. You're supposed to hold on to it. I thought you're supposed to just throw it at people. Oh well. Does anyone else feel like they're being watched? There. I always feel like somebody's watching me. Oh, God. That's a classic one, by the way. That's actually the Central Intelligence Agency as well. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. I hope you guys got a laugh out of them one way or another anyway. America right now. Yep, America right now. Don't always feel like... No, I better stop there. I better stop. So, guys, I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who come along tonight. I really appreciate it. I had roughly around 9 to 10 to 12 people on average, which was pretty awesome. You know, like I said, this is always the quiet live stream. So it's nice that me and Jao weren't the only ones here at this live stream. So I appreciate everybody coming out and supporting me tonight. And I hope you found the news that we covered today interesting, fascinating, informative in some way, shape, or form. I really hope that it did. Just a reminder, Geoscopes will be starting in about 9 minutes time on Politics Social with Graham Hughes and Bola Hatman. So if you guys want to hop over there and check them out, you can do. If not, Max Robespierre should be going live at 8:30 tonight. Cross fingers, unless something else happens there. I will be there for the live stream. I will be hanging out in the chat, that's for sure. I don't know if I'll be at Geoscopes. I might pop in just to say hello. But thank you guys for coming along. Thank you guys for all your comments. Thank you to those who left super chats today. Kirsty and Dave McGuinness, thank you both for your super chats today. I really appreciate your support. I'll be back live tomorrow at 11 a.m. Do join me for another Good Morning Show if you can. Be greatly appreciated. But before I go, before you guys head out, there's just one last thing to say, that if you haven't already, please hit that like button. Greatly appreciated. Share this across social media so others are notified of this live stream. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider subscribing. Help me get to 2,500 subscribers. And do check out Rumble and Patreon for exclusive content on those platforms. It's free to watch content, guys. Links for them are down below. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.